Star Trek The Next Generation on Blu-ray, Season 1. This is day 23 of 30 of my 30 days of Star Trek reviews. So we're doing the episode called The Arsenal of Freedom, or as the cool kid calls it, The Arsenal of F. So one of the themes throughout Star Trek The Next Generation with Riker, is that he has repeatedly been offered his own command, as in being a captain. So instead of having 3 dots, having 4 dots, and having his own ship. So kind of like Picard has the Enterprise. So here's, I think, the first time in this series thus far that we get his, a little bit of backstory on him rejecting a ship called the USS Drake.
Commander, weren't you offered the Drake?
So Worf asks if he was offered the Drake, and here's Riker's answer.
Yes.
You gave up your own command to take this assignment?
Look at Riker's
At the
face.
time, I
It's a
thought
little
it would be
weird
more
right here.
advantageous to do a tour on the Enterprise.
What in the world? It's real. I don't know. Anyway, he says he turned down his own command to do a tour on the Enterprise. And we'll see what his excuse is next time he turns down command. We get an interesting shot here. It's very, very bumpy. It's like a crane shot, like where they're lifting it slowly higher than the height of a person. But it seems like it's also on one of those, like the thing that actually drives the trains, the crane. It's super bumpy. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but just look at this.
It's heavily forested.
Kind of
planet.
tracking.
I'm far from certain that it is devoid of danger.
Anyway, that shot is just like, is so jiggly. I don't know if you could see it with my hand, but it's just so bumpy. It's like, man, oil your crane or something. What in the world? Also, the rest of this episode is just straight up in like some warehouse or actually a studio, right? But one thing that's interesting about the foliage is these things look like pine trees that they've just like attached birds of paradise flowers on there. Okay. Tasha Yar, Chief of Security. Here's actually, for a second when she said this thing, I was like, oh man, it's like a horror movie. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, she's Chief of Security. She's actually making an extremely wise tactical decision. But just watching her be impressed and shoving off all this fake foliage and being like, oh wow, it's a laser that's not damaged. She's so awesome in this show. And counting this episode, she only has 3 episodes left of like her initial actual run. There's some flashbacks and some alternate realities and her playing another character. However, just normal Tasha Yar in the series, this and 2 more episodes, and she's gone. And it's actually really sad because she's really awesome. She made a big impact on the show in not very many episodes. Okay, now she's going to say something else, but she's going to talk about what they should do after they find this big laser thing. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
We've never seen anything like this.
It's undamaged.
Maybe a demonstration model for some potential buyer.
Maybe. Let's spread out a little.
Okay. So normally in horror movies where it's like, let's spread out, you're like, no, you idiot, stay together. In this case, they just found a huge piece of weaponry and she's like, let's not have the risk of all of us getting killed at once. So they actually do spread out, which is an extremely tactically sound thing to do. If you've ever played the original Command and Conquer, if you have a whole bunch of actually any units, I was going to say infantry, but a whole bunch of your units selected, if you push the X button, I think they all spread out. And again, that's to avoid mass casualties. So Tasha Yar, so good at her job. Oh, time is so limited. So they beam down to the planet. And this, I can't show the whole scene, but this scene is so awesome. It's so perfectly filmed, acted, the music and everything. And the tension just rises and rises and gets creepier and creepier as Riker runs into an old friend.
I'm picking up no life signs here. I know.
Riker, you didn't answer me. Who sent you here to look?
Your mother. She's working.
Tell me about your ship, Riker. It's the Enterprise, isn't
Such
it?
creepy music.
No, the name of my ship is the Lollipop.
I have no knowledge of that ship.
It's just been commissioned. It's a good ship.
Refresh me, would you, Riker? What's its size? Its complement?
Who is here with you?
What's the armament on the lollipop?
What's the armament on the lollipop? That's probably quote of the day here. Anyway, the scene just gets creepier and creepier, and the music escalates, and he's asking him all kinds of questions, and then he goes a full-on Kirk and just starts like confusing him. If you remember, Kirk, I don't know how many like mastermind computers he destroyed just by like Kirk talking to them. He just like Kirked the computer. Anyway, he's kind of doing the same thing to whatever this artificial version of his old buddy is, and it's awesome scene. One of my favorite things about Star Trek is so he's inside of a force field bubble right now. He Kirked the computer and they got frustrated, and so it changed back into whatever it was, and then zapped him and froze him. But I love when they show frozen people in these old Star Trek shows where you see them trying to hold so still, but you can see like their hands moving, or you can see them breathing, and they're trying so hard, but it's like, I see you moving. Okay, this moment makes my eye twitch. And apparently it makes Tasha's eye twitch as well. So look at her face. So Picard's telling Data to get Riker out of this thing. And so he figures if he can get the right frequency on his phaser, he can blast this little force bubble or whatever and break it, right? So the bubble goes over his head down to below his feet. Like it's completely covers him. So Data shoots right freaking at Riker. And I know maybe he's got calculations going on that he's not telling me about. Sometimes Data just does things without telling me, and I just got to trust him. But could he not blast like right there on the edge or down here where it wouldn't, there's no possibility of it hitting him? He's shooting it right at him. It's just like, Data, your firearm safety is lacking, bud. But look at Tasha. Look at her face. I don't think she approves of where he's shooting either. So these guys down on the planet are having quite the adventure. Meanwhile, Jordy is in command of the Enterprise. And there's something I wanted to show you here. So they're shooting at the product, I guess they're calling it. And you got Tasha's face, Data's face, and look at Riker's phaser shooting face today. It's like phaser shooting blue steel face. I love it. So here we get another scene with Picard and Beverly where they've gotten injured. And of course my Beverly Picard shipping senses are going off the charts because I always want more scenes with them. I think they have amazing chemistry. But it's really hard to see Beverly injured. Like actually pretty seriously injured because she's always caring for others. And it's kind of like when you see the medic get injured in Saving Private Ryan. It's like it hurts more to watch somebody that's like a caretaker type getting injured than just like a normal gold or red shirt. But this, you get some interesting backstory with Beverly and her family and how she learned like not only traditional medicine, but she also learned some kind of like hippie stuff with like roots and like blood clotting agents of like natural things. You also learn that she was on some planet that had some kind of crazy disaster on it. But yeah, so she's very well rounded, but it's very sad. Look at her sad face. She's so hurt. Aww. Wish she would have stayed for season 2. So one super high shot to make Jordy look small and scared, and because he's having a rough time in command, and this is a very intense moment. But this is a great, like, I don't know if it's necessarily just like a high up shot or if they used a wide angle lens. To me, it seems like they used a wide angle lens to get this. But you've got him, and he's in command right now, and stuff's going bad. And there's this other guy that keeps trying to take command, and he just called him to the bridge, and you're like, oh no, he's going to relinquish command. Come on, Jordy. But he hangs in there, and yeah. Anyway, this is just such a cool overhead shot to show you how Jordy's feeling. He's feeling a lot of pressure.
Is invincible.
Here's a great Picard line coming up.
System. Too perfect. You poor fools, your own creation destroyed you.
Yeah, go Space Dad. Calling him out. Jordy in command of just the saucer section.
Engage.
Anyway, this was a really good Jordy episode. Just seeing how he can be in command, how he can do. And I really like how he says engage, and Picard wants him to get the ship back together, and then he can relinquish or give command back to him. So anyway, it's a good episode. There's some weird things about it, though. There's a lot of shots that linger on people's faces without them really doing much. So I get the idea they're trying to convey like thinking, but I don't know if I like the director of this one, or maybe the directing of this one. So there's a lot of really weird shots. Anyway, this has been day 23 of 30 of my 30 days of Star Trek reviews. So thanks for sticking with me, and we'll see you on the next one.